Hi, welcome to the series finale of Give Me a Word. Each week, as we've gotten together for these times, I've had a coffee cup or a mug in my hand. And when you run out of cups, when you get down to the jug, it's time for the series to end. And that's where we are. Series finale, this is it. We started in our previous episode, I read to you from Revelation 21:7. To him that overcometh will I give a new name. And we talked about some Old Testament examples where God gave people a new name. There also are some in the New Testament as well. The one that probably comes to your mind first is Simon. Simon, whose name was changed to Peter after he came to know Jesus. Peter means rock. It's a Greek word. Upon this rock I will build my church. It's a transformational moment in the life of Peter as he stepped into that belief and that transformation that he was going to be the man that God had created him to be. And this is how God was going to use him. And so he changed his name from Simon to Peter. Or Rocky would be a looser translation of it. We find the same story in Saul of Tarsus. Prior to his conversion, Saul is an extremely arrogant man. To get a sense of how prideful he was before he came to Christ, we can look to his own words in Philippians 3:4, where he essentially stated that no one had more reason to boast in the natural life than himself. However, at some point in this life-transforming experience with Christ, this divine encounter on the road to Damascus, Jesus steps in and changes his name, gives him a new identity. And so today we remember not Saul of Tarsus, who persecuted the early church, but what we remember is Paul, the apostle, who founded churches, who started churches. He went from being a persecutor to a starter and a planter, and began to share Christ with those that he met. All came with a name change. Those early Christians liked meeting Paul. They didn't want to meet Saul. Big deal. Then there's Joseph. You may not know him. He is a Levite from Cyprus. He was an unknown believer until he gave a large contribution to the church in Jerusalem, which brought him to the attention of the apostles. As time went by, they changed his name from Joseph to Barnabas, reflecting the kind of person he had been to him. Barnabas means encourager. And the changing of the name didn't change the character, it just simply put the new title on him. It reflected who he was inside. It reflected his heart. And so Joseph of Cyprus, a name that no one recognizes anymore, is actually a name that you do recognize, Barnabas. You remember Barnabas being that early encourager, Barnabas, friend of Paul, Barnabas, that guy who was so vital in the early church because he was willing to give of his all and encourage others along the way. Each of the name changes in the Old and New Testament reflect something. They mark new beginnings, profound changes of character that ultimately move people forward in their journey of faith. And so as we wrap up this series, as we have been breaking down words, studying words, their meaning, their impact, we come to that phrase, to he that overcomes, I will give a new name, a name. If I were to ask you, if God were to give you a name to reflect who you are, what name would he give you today? What name would God give you to describe who you are in his eyes? Because of all the names that you've been called, of all the names that you have, of the name that you go by, the name that matters most is that name that God has for you because he has changed you and transformed you. And so, just like I say, when we're out of coffee mugs, we're down to the jug, I guess we're done with the series. We certainly haven't explored every word in the Bible. Couldn't do that. It would take way too long. We don't have enough of a series to do that. But we have looked at a variety of things, but the thought to close with is important. Live up to the name that God has for you. Be that person. Be that transformed life. And don't settle for anything less than his best for you. To he who overcomes, I will give a new name. So for us, this series is an ending, but it's the end of a series, which means that new ones will begin, and we step forward from here into the next thing, whatever that is. Same is true for you. Yesterday is past. Tomorrow is yet to be written, but today you get to step into the fullness of the new name that God has called you to. You keep overcoming. Live up to the name you're called to be. Thanks for being a part of this series. And join us for all of the stuff that we've got to offer you on the Church at 434 in Motion.